Hello Cutest family, you're welcome back to my channel. Thank you for liking, for subscribing, for always staying true to the channel. And so in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this little ball dress with the bow and the flower design at the front. So this is very simple and easy to draft. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The very first thing you need is the basic bodice pattern, putting in consideration her age and the size that she wears. So for the neckline, I have the front neck is boat neck, the back neck is scoop neck. I have the desired shoulder length and the armhole length. Then the scale that I am working with is the shoulder to the waistline because the lower part is going to be in form of gathers. I'll be using this black Mikado fabric. It is the soft type of Mikado. Then I have also this white Mikado fabric which I'm going to be using for the flower and the bow. I don't know if I'm going to be using this ready-made flower or I'm going to create my own flower. Then I have this 3 yards of hard net that I'm going to be using. I have original China lining, just 1 yard of original China lining. I have the crinoline, the horsehair, 3 inches in length, and these beads. These are all that I'm going to be using to make this dress. The first thing I'm going to do is to take the Mikado and fold it into 4 in order for me to get the length. This is a knee length dress, so I'm going to go ahead to mark the desired length that I want to make for her. So because the fabric is 1.5 yard, I'm going to be using 2 widths of the same length of the fabric. What I meant by that is that I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces of the fabric that is of the same length, which is going to give me 3 yards of the fabric after joining these 2 pieces together. In order to give it a little bit of volume, then I'll go ahead to cut the original China lining for the lining of the dress. The lining is going to be the exact length of the main fabric because the excess on the lining is going to serve as my hemline, which I'm going to be sewing in at the end of the day. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to cut the hard net shorter than the main length of the dress because I wouldn't want it to be showing underneath the dress. So I cut 2 sets out of this hard net, but eventually I just use 1 set of the hard net because I don't want it to be too full. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to cut the main bodies. So I'm going to be pinning the bodies on the main fabric and go ahead to add my zip allowance on it like so. Then I'll go ahead to cut it out. There are already allowances on this pattern, so I don't need to add any allowance. The only allowance I added is just the zip allowance. Then I'll go ahead to cut out the lining for the upper part of the dress. I have the upper part of the dress already cut out. I have all the materials I needed for making this dress cut out: the hard net, the Mikado material, the main fabric, the lining, and the upper part of the dress. And this white Mikado is what I'm going to be using for the flower and the bow. So the very first thing I will do is to join the upper part of the bodies together. I won't be talking too much here. I'll just allow you to enjoy the sewing process of this video. Something happened here when you are sewing yours. Please don't sew the side seams first because I had to loosen it up at the end of the day. I totally forgot I was making an outfit that is sleeveless, not with sleeves. So the very first thing you should sew together is the front and the back neckline with the lining. Don't bother to sew the side of the lining and the side of the main fabric yet because I eventually loosened it in order to sew my armhole together. So after sewing the necklines together, both front and back, I went ahead to join the shoulder lines together, both lining and fabric. I went ahead to join it together. So what I said earlier was you should not sew your side seams yet. You should not sew your side seams yet because I had to loosen it here. I need to sew my armhole together just like the way you are seeing me do in this video. Lining to fabric, right side facing each other. You sew your armhole together first. Then once you are done sewing the armholes together, the next thing you will do is to try to pull it out from the shoulder line, just like the way I did in this video. Pull it out like so. Once you are done pulling it out, this is how it's going to look like. You must have this before you now go ahead to sew your side seam. Now I'm going to attach the side seams like this, lining to lining, fabric to fabric, and then I'll go ahead to sew it. So when sewing, sew your neckline together first, both lining and fabric, then go ahead to sew the shoulder lines, both lining and fabric, and then sew the armhole, both lining and fabric, then go ahead to sew the side seam, both lining and fabric. So once I'm done sewing the upper part of the bodice, the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the net, to pleat my net. So I'm going to be using two pieces of net, 3 yards. This is 3 yards. I'm going to be using just two instead of four that I cut. So I'm going to be using this two because I don't want it to be too full. But I'll just go ahead to pleat until I am done pleating. So this is what I have after I was done pleating the net. I love the outcome. What I'm going to do next is to go ahead to gather my Mikado. I have 3 yards of Mikado here. From the start, I said I have 1.5 yards. So I had to cut two pieces of Mikado, then sew them together to give me 3 yards. So in total, I'm going to be using 3 yards of Mikado. I joined 1.5 yard and the other 1.5 yards together, giving me 3 yards. So I gathered it at the waistline and I went ahead to match it up along the upper body's waist. That is the upper part of our bodies. I went along to match up the gathers with what I have along the waistline. And what I'm going to do next is just to go ahead to sew it along the waistline to give me the full length of the dress that I want to make. So I am done joining the lower part of the dress and the upper part of the dress together, and this is what I have after gathering the lower part to the upper part. So what happened here was that the ad net was a little bit longer than what I wanted, and I went in to cut off the excesses. And the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to join the ad net together with the main fabric. But the way I joined this ad net is that I turned it inward in order to make it more comfortable for the baby girl. I had to turn the ad net inward like so. So what I did is I sewed the ad net inward, not outward. When it turns back, this is the look it's going to give to me. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to join the lining together. The lower part and the upper part, I joined them at the waistline, and this is what I have. So I have the lining, the hard net, and the main fabric. The next thing I'm going to do is to hem the lining part. I love finishing my hem line. I love it to be big, so I had to just finish it that way. Then what I'm going to do next is to fix my zip. I don't want this video to be long. I'm just showing you the process. So I'm going to fix my zip because I want to make this outfit an inseam sewing. So it's going to look like a ready-made. You won't see any seam lines outside at all. That is the way I finished out this dress. You can see the way it is. This is the inner part and you are not seeing any seam lines at all. This is what the dress is looking like, and I love the outcome of the dress. The next thing I'm going to be doing is just to add my crinoline along the hem line of the dress. I have 3 inches of crinoline in length, which I'm going to be using for the hem line. Eventually I had to join the crinoline together to give me a bigger effect, which I didn't record in this video, but this was what I recorded. It was later on that I loosened it and I just added another layer of crinoline on it. So I'm done making the dress. I'll go ahead to make the bow because I don't want the bow to be too big. You can freestyle with your bow. I just want to show you the method of how I made the bow. So you can do anything, the length, the width will be according to your preference. So I've cut the first part of the bow, then the second one I just went around like in an arc form with my pencil to draw up an half circle to make the bow. Then for my flower designs, I went ahead to cut 2 shaped pattern like these 2 patterns to give me the shape of the flower that I want. So I'm going to be using the smaller pattern and the bigger pattern. So I'm just going ahead to like draw the shape on the fabric, and the next thing I'm going to do is to take it to my sewing machine to sew the bow. Just finish up with So yeah, I'm sewing the patterns, each of the patterns. I'm done sewing the bow, and the next thing I just want to out the bows, cut out the petal pieces that is going to give me my flower. Once I was done with it, I went in to iron everything, then came back to my sewing machine to finish it up. So this is what I'm going to be using to attach the upper bow and the lower bow together like so. The first thing I'll do is to use my thread to tighten it around that area securely in order for it not to be moving. Then I will go ahead to use this piece of fabric to secure them permanently together. Once I'm done, I'm going to turn from the left side of that piece of fabric to the right side in order to give me a neat and finished look. Then the next thing I'm going to work on is the flower design that I want to make. So I'm just going to be taking each piece of these petals and I will start sewing it on a hard wadding. The base I formed was a hard wadding, so I'm going to sew it around until I eventually get the flower pattern that I wanted. And this is all there is about the video. I went ahead to attach both the flower and the bow of camera on the dress, and also went ahead to bead around the neckline of the dress to make it more beautiful and unique. Beads I used are the pearl bead, the broken beads, and the crystal black bead. So I had to do it in layered form in order to give me this effect around the neckline. So this is what the dress looks like at the end of the day. I love the fact that it came out exactly as I envisaged. She loved it, she rocked it well. It made her skin, her color popped out the more. She got beautiful and cute comments on this dress. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Would you like to make this for any of your baby girl or your niece at all? Let me know in the comment section what your thought is like on this video. Thank you for liking, for watching. Please do subscribe to my channel if you're watching my video for the very first time. Thank you so much. God bless. Till next time. Bye bye.